been talking about this burnout, and we talk about how physicians want to ultimately change what they want to do in their career. Do you feel like there's a bigger problem where physicians are working too much, or do you think maybe there's a narrative out there that like a lot of people need to become doctors, and perhaps not everyone's meant to be a doctor, and maybe in high school they were told the wrong thing at the wrong time, and maybe they're just being told this thing like they need to do this, they need to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or whatever. Do you feel like the narrative early on is an issue, or do you feel like maybe there's something that happens between going to school to becoming a resident that there's an issue?
Well, I think not knowing exactly what the situation is, right? I think people that come from like multi-physician household or multi-generational physician, like my wife and I were both the first physicians in our family. So we don't really know, right? Like you know what you see, you know what you hear, but like, what's it really like?
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more of that. I also think like colleges and high schools fail in the career development department or whatever you want to call it, a career advising. I know at one point when I was in college, I was like on this doctor track, and then I was having some doubts. I was like, I don't know, like if this is really right. And I went to the advisor person, and she's like, well, what else are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. That's what your job is, like to help
Yeah.
me.
This
And
is
she was
why
like,
I'm here.
well, it seems like it's just hard right now. So you should probably just keep going. Like, that's terrible advice.
Yeah.
So I would hope that if we're catch people younger, to really, if that are having doubts, or like, yeah, they should, or for example, I know my mom always wanted me to be a lawyer for whatever. I don't know why. Like, we don't have any lawyers in our family. And I went to one summer and shadowed a lawyer, and I was like, oh God, this is horrible. I can't do this. Right. But it comes back to trying to figure out if you like it. So, and I don't think medical schools too are painting a proper picture of what it's like out there either. People are like, oh, well, residency will be hard, and then you'll get out there and it'll be okay. They're like, well, maybe not. Like, maybe we should learn more about the business of medicine. Maybe we should learn more about like the real world, in our professional schools, and not just
Mm.
medical school. It's the same. I see it with dentists and chiropractors and physical therapists like yourself, and every field is like, we're not taught so much about the real world rather than the medicine of it. So perhaps the people are going in for the wrong reasons. Perhaps there needs to be better education in that regard. Or the other part of it is what's going to happen to the system. Will there be systemic change? Because we're seeing the largest exodus of young physicians in the history of time from the profession. So like, what's going to happen, right? Like, who's going to take care of us when we're old if people keep
Right.
leaving? So I think that's a totally different conversation. But I think medicine inherently is going to have to change in this country the way it's practiced, because it is a bit of a bubble, and there's too many, like there's too many inequities, and there's too much disparity of care in this country, et cetera. But that's like a whole different situation, and there's better
Yeah.
people to talk to than me
Yeah.
about
Well,
that.
just a little bit more. Like, why do you think there's this exodus away from physicians?
People are burnt, right? Like, you come out now with like $300,000 to $600,000 in debt, right? Potentially.
That's it.
Um, yeah, paid off in a year, you're rich. Yeah, the reimbursements are going down. Respect for the profession is at an all-time low, which was only exacerbated by the politics in the last year and a half. And people are being expected to do more with less resources. So there's all the insurance companies are dictating care a lot more, which again is something nice I don't have to deal with. But we're seeing all that, with, you need to document everything within 24 to 48 hours, but you need to check 85 boxes instead of just writing what happened, right? In order to get paid, et cetera. So I think people are just fed up with it, right? People just don't want it. This is like not what a lot of people signed up for. And that's why my whole platform is creating a career, right? Like, you need to design your ideal career, because no one's going to come give it to you. Because if you just went through the traditional path and you took a job and you're miserable, well, a lot of the jobs are going to be like that, right? You gotta figure out how to be happy. Or you need to leave, and that's okay too. But that's some of the things we're dealing with now, and not just physicians. It's across the spectrum of healthcare.